Don, you're on the speaker.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome to our monthly regularly scheduled Callaway County Fiscal Court meeting. I'll call the meeting to order. If you will, all join me in standing as we say our pledge, and then after the pledge remains standing, we'll have an invocation this morning. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This morning, given we are where we are in our nation's history and here in Callaway County, I would like to offer a prayer. If you will, bear with me just a moment. Our God and our Father, we come to you this morning with truly humble hearts, Lord, recognizing that you are our supreme Lord and God. And Father, we just pray the anointing of your blessings on our country, on this county, on its people, and the citizens that we serve. Father, that you would guide and direct us all as administrators in our governments that you've ordained, that you would give us wisdom and guidance and direction in everything that we do. And may we always give you the honor, praise, and glory. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you, and be seated.
Minutes from December 16th, regular meeting.
You have those squires in your packet. Let the record show that the members of the court are here. Don's here via telephone. So, Squire Sherry, can you hear us all right?
Yes, sir, thank you, Judge.
All right. But at any time, if I fail to hear you, make yourself known, or Paul's there close to you and Larry, so they'll interrupt on your behalf if need be. One thing in our minutes is a small typo in it that we probably ought to correct. There's a date of 23,000. Yeah, 23,000. I don't think we're quite there yet, but just to correct the small typo and make it 2023 after where we've got Tim Miller. Also, Tim Miller's name had a small typo there. Just I would, with those two corrections, move adoption of the minutes from the December 16th meeting. Need a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion second that the minutes be approved as amended. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk.
Treasurer's report, Ms. Tanya Robinson.
Madam Clerk, Madam Treasurer.
On your financial cover sheet for December 31st, 2020, receipts are $13,170,092.78. Disbursements are $6,066,010.53, with an ending cash balance of $6,104,082.25.
Any questions for the clerk? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion made and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Madam Clerk, Madam Treasurer, if you can do that every month, we'll be in better shape than we are now. Go ahead, Tanya.
Total December encumbrances for general fund was $100,128.65. Road fund was $150,752.78. Jail fund was $41,984.05. The 911 fund was $1,607.44. And you'll also notice the additional sheet in your packets for the general fund had an additional $40,450.
You need a motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion Squire Crutcher, second by Squire Hale. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That concludes my report.
You don't have any transfers or?
Nope.
Okay. Madam Clerk?
New business, public hearing for the second reading of the repeal of ordinance 91-1101-A.
Okay, this is in December, we presented the ordinance with that number. Copies in your packet. We've been had it published according to state law. Basically what we're doing with this is taking off the $1 per month 911 fee on landlines for county residents. This time we'll go into a public hearing if anybody's got comments regarding this before we actually move to a second vote and approval. If there are no comments, we'll close the public comment period and entertain a motion to approve the second reading of the ordinance.
So moved.
Motion, Squire Hale,
Second.
second. Motion made and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk?
Accept bids for cable franchises.
Okay, also in our December meeting, we had approved the utility franchise agreements. This one is for the cable franchises. We'll be accepting the bids. Gina, you want to explain any of that, or does anybody need any explanation of what all this is about? I mean, does anybody have any questions? You got it in your pack, and, okay. Then we'll need a motion to approve it. Gina, I'm sorry. Thank you. It's ordinance number 201216B. We put out the bids and all that, so.
So moved.
Okay, motion made.
Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk?
911 grant request.
Okay, at this time, I'll call on Nathan to present. Nathan Baird is our 911 coordinator, and he will present a couple of grant requests, which will be handled separately.
Okay, so I got two grants that we're gonna try for this year with 911 Homeland Security. One is a radio grant that we are working with Murray State on, trying to elevate our positioning on that. That's about a $180,000 grant, a little bit over, that I need approval for. We're gonna do a sole source on that one. Sole source allows for whoever maintains our system to continue with it, so I'm gonna do a sole source on that one, so we did not put that one out for bid or anything. Jackson Purchase is the one that does both ours and Murray State's, so it's just the easiest way to go with that one. He knows both systems. So I'm just requesting that we approve Jackson Purchase for that one as a sole source.
Any questions for Nathan? I'll entertain a motion to approve the grant request.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made, Squire Reister. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Nathan, go ahead then.
All right, the second grant is another Homeland Security grant. It's on the 911 side again. It's a GIS grant, trying to fix a bunch of mapping problems that we have with the county. We did put it out for request for purchase. We only got one vendor in. Their total price was $168,000 and change. Since they were the only ones that put in, we are partnering with Murray State on this one again to level our availability on this grant. I am asking for, with the GIS grant, to do a 10% match. That'll come out of the 911 fund if we get the grants. These grants aren't guaranteed yet, so I have to write them, but we have to approve the vendors first. So I'm just requesting that that vendor get approved for that one also.
Any questions?
You think that falls within your budget that we looked at?
So right now I don't have a grant line item. I've talked to Tanya, and next year we're gonna put in a grant line item so that it'll be a pass-through system. Both of those grants are $200,000 grants. I'm planning on putting in a $200,000 part in there as a pass-through. I should be able to make it, but it just depends on, a whole bunch of different stuff. If for some reason that I don't have the money in my grant, it is a pass-through, so it is reimbursed. So the only money that we would be out is the $17,000 that I'm matching the 10%. The rest of it would be reimbursed. So if I, for some reason, weren't able to make it, the fiscal court would have to cover that portion of it, but it would be reimbursed usually within 2 to 3 weeks,
Okay.
just to be honest. But I should be able to make it.
But the maximum exposure should be around 16,000 if.
Yes.
Sure.
If I get everything approved, and it's only on that one grant, am I matching that one? The other grant is we're just doing that one 100%, and we're not gonna match anything on that one. The GIS grant, I feel, is a little bit more important for the county. That's why we're gonna go ahead and match the 10%. Murray State is not throwing any money into the pot, but what they do is they elevate us from a level 3 to a level 2, hopefully. It's all in articulation, but that'll allow us to have a better chance of getting the grant because we're working with another agency.
I do think, if I might comment, that I think we're going to see more and more importance based on the GIS systems. Everything we do seems to, in some way, we've got requests we're going to be making the State Transportation Department to be able to have those maps and have them updated and have the accuracy that should provide us, would save us a lot of legwork in time. So what's the pleasure of the court? I need a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and second. Squire Hale, Squire Reister. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk?
911 credit card request.
Okay, Nathan, you want to address that?
Okay, so basically what 911 doing is requesting a credit card so we can start purchasing stuff out of our fund. 911, of course, has its own budget and its own revenue source. So rather than trying to have fiscal court order the supplies that we need and then get reimbursed from 911, 911 would be able to just purchase those outright and do it on our own, out of our own budget. Also with our training and hotel stays and different stuff that we have, putting that on the county credit card with all the stuff that they already have, there's a lot of times that it's maxed out just because all the training seems to happen at the same time. This would allow 911 to book its own hotel rooms and everything to stay and separate the two funds out that much more. So we're not relying on physical court or the sheriff's office to do pretty much anything for 911 as far as money goes. So I'm not asking for, $1 million credit card, a couple thousand is all I probably need just to get a week's worth of hotels is pretty much the most it should be on it at any one time.
If we approve this, I assume you obviously are aware that we do look at the bills and verify on purchase orders.
Yes.
And I would highly recommend, whenever possible, that purchase order, we be made aware of them, Lisa, before, you go off on an expedition.
Oh, yeah, no, we won't do any of that. Everything gets approved, I go through Gina. Gina knows all my purchases, rather than bothering the judge with every little purchase. I go through Gina, and Gina either okays it or tells me to go ask the judge before I do anything. So, yeah, I won't.
Okay, with that explanation, what's the pleasure of the court?
I'll make a motion as requested by Nathan.
Okay. Motion made,
Second.
second. Squire Crutcher, second by Squire Crutcher. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right.
Motion, those opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk?
Sheriff's final settlement.
Thank you, Nathan. Are you going to do this too?
I can, I mean,
No.
how much
Well,
money you want?
oh, well, you were standing there and I didn't, Nikki was heading there. I didn't know who was doing which. Chair recognize Nikki then, please.
I had asked for this to be put on the agenda today because I was hoping that I would be able to do my final settlement. I think I'm probably about 2 days early. We're still waiting on some monies to come in to actually do my final settlement. So I apologize for it being on here, but I really wanted to get it done, but it's just not doable yet. So February, I should be able to do my final settlement to the fiscal court.
Thank you, Sheriff. Madam Clerk?
Other business, board appointments.
Okay. The only appointment that I know of that we have today is to fill the unexpired term of Dan McFerrin, who resigned from the Transit Board several months ago. We've received an application for Jody Hanneman, who was recommended by Board President Jim Klinger. That application is in your packet. Jody's willing to complete the term, which will expire October 16th of 2023. Therefore, I recommend to the court and in the form of a motion that you allow me to make that appointment. So I need a second.
Second.
All right. Motion made and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk, does that conclude your stuff?
It does.
Okay. We'll have now reports from various committees, and then any official reports. But Gina, if you will, bring us up to date on the administrative ordinance committee.
Judge, the ordinance committee did meet on January the 11th at their regular time. The committee, or the fiscal court has minutes of that meeting in their packet, so for time's sake, I will suspend my report and just say that the next committee meeting will be February 8th.
Please note that that is a public meeting. Anybody that's interested in the administrative code of the county, welcome to attend. Transportation Committee did not meet in December and January, and I think the original motion when we set that up was for them to meet monthly. Sometimes that's kind of cumbersome, especially it has been this winter, so I've made the recommendation with court's approval that those be set up on quarterly meetings to save time and accumulate enough different things that we'd do so. And without objection, we'll set a schedule up for that to do it quarterly rather than monthly. Okay, let me do Squires first. Squire Hale, you got anything you want to comment on or say to the court?
Don't have anything, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Squire Reister,
No, sir.
Squire Crutcher,
Nothing, Judge.
Squire Cherry, hadn't heard much out of you except yeses and nos this morning. Anything to add?
No, thank you, Judge. I would like to say an appreciated prayer this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any of the elected, Ken, you do have something. I'm sorry. Jailer Ken Claude has a matter he'd like to speak to.
Yes, I just wanted to give you a quick little summary of 2020 activities at the jail. Our bookings last year totaled 967. That was down from previous year was 1,560. So it was a strange year for us as well as everybody else. trying to adjust our activities and that sort of thing. At one point, I think we got down to about 100 inmates total. That was back around May. Comparing our revenue that we collect from offenders in 2019, it was $270,932, and in 2020, it was $362,696. So what accounts for that difference, I feel like, is where y'all approved the increase in the housing rate last year, and also where we had inmates that were working at the Camel factory over at Mayfield and that sort of thing, and they were able to pay off some of their past incarceration fees. So that was a significant increase, I feel like. Our programming that we have at the jail, of course, it's approved by the Department of Corrections, and it gives them sentence credits, time off their sentences. We had 15 graduate from our what's called soft skills boot camp, 18 graduated from MRT, which is also known as moral recognition therapy, 33 from the Inside Out Dads program, and 32 from Portal's New Directions. And I'd written, besides providing guidance and counseling in relationships and reentry issues, the completion of these programs awards sentence credits. The above totals 7,920 inmate incarceration days, which save taxpayers $248,000 roughly, based on the state's per diem that they pay the jails, which is $31.34 a day. And another significant accomplishment we had was that we had 11 inmates that graduated with their GEDs in 2020. I think that's a record, actually. And with our work program at the workhouse, we had to make several adjustments there. When the pandemic first broke out, they were confined to the workhouse for about 2 or 2.5 months at least. And then we was able to submit a plan to keep them safe from COVID, take all the precautionary measures and that sort of thing, enabling us to get them back out to work on a limited basis about midsummer, I guess it was. So some of the things that we've been doing is helping out the county and cleaning up dump sites and that sort of thing. The revenue generated by the workhouse, recycling and mowing efforts was $1,690. The state highway contract was $33,705. Now that pretty much ended after July 1st. They didn't let us do any of the state highway contract, even though we have a contract in effect due to COVID. So we kind of switched over to litter abatement for the county and did a lot of that, which brought in $46,666. Then work fees that were accumulated on that work program I was telling you about was $15,419, and the restitution that they were able to pay us back was $25,107.
How many inmate days did you say you had, Ken? Total inmate days that the county was responsible for?
I'm not sure I'm understanding the question.
Just about 5 minutes ago, okay, it's in my report, never mind, I'm sorry. I was just curious about total inmate days. I mean, if somebody's in for 30 and then another guy's in for 30, that's 60, but it's on my sheet, I just hadn't seen it.
All right. Any questions?
Thank you, Ken.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I sincerely appreciate that, and I think it's something that community needs to be well aware of is how effectively we're trying to work, and especially the admirable job Ken's done and during the pandemic stages last year, to get as much work done. The Class Ds that are involved in this, it helps them to get out. Gidget's been doing a phenomenal job in getting that, and you know, they look forward actually to getting out and being able to do a lot of this, and I want to commend you for it. I had a compliment from one of our constituents in the county for doing some cleanup and brush work that typically goes unnoticed, but it's work that benefits the county. It'll help us with some of our flooding situations. It's, you know, trying to get a creek unstopped and different things like that. So Ken's been very innovative and one of the few places in the state that did get the earlier release where some of these workers could go back out and do that. So I commend you for that. The other county officials or department heads or anybody that needs to speak to us? Nikki?
I usually keep quiet, but I wanted to, and y'all may not care about this, but I'm gonna pass it along. Our year-end summary. Sheriff's Office answered around 8,500 calls for service in 2020. We served over 1,000 court papers. 1,779 citations were issued. Total arrests were 689. We opened 521 criminal investigations and worked 379 traffic collisions with four fatals in that bunch. Just want to brag on my guys that they're doing an excellent job. Ken's trying to get them out of jail and we're trying to pull them in there. So it's kind of pushing against each other there. But anyway, that's our job and that's his job. So with that said, do y'all have any questions on that?
Thank you for what you do too.
Appreciate it. I do have one other thing I wanted to run by the court because since I've been appointed sheriff and I listen to paying the bills and this and that, and there's questions on when the bills are paid and so forth. And we've been told by Total Tech, who does our computer stuff, that we need to do an upgrade on our server that we have in the building. The upgrade is $5,260 is what the price that they give me on it. I've spoke with Gina and she said we was good on it. I do have the money in my office equipment budget. So I would like to take it out of that, but I didn't want to blindside y'all with, I sympathize with the fact that when y'all see the bills, that the bills are already on something like this is already done. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention so that it doesn't blindside anybody. Make sure that I'm good with that.
When you say system upgrade, what system?
It is labor for licensing to upgrade 3 servers to the latest operating system and migration of the data.
I knew as much before I asked the question now.
Hey, that's all I know either. They're telling me that we need to upgrade, and I don't need on our server. I don't even know what operating system we're running on it, but they're telling me that it needs to be updated. So, and I do have the money.
Updated so they can back it up.
Okay.
I did that about 4 months ago.
Any questions? No. Thank y'all for y'all's support on the sheriff's office.
Thank you, Sheriff, and I appreciate the fact that you recognize that we try to do our job, not to really ever question anybody else, but this is a fiscal court, so that's part of our bailiwick is to kind of watch where, how, and when we spend such monies. Counselor, you got any words of wisdom this morning?
Judge, from what I can tell, most folks behaved on New Year's Eve, so that's what I talked about last month. I'm proud that, for the most part, I guess people took my advice or disregarded it and acted the right way anyway. I don't have anything else.
At least Nikki didn't catch them. Tanya, you got anything else?
No, sir.
Gidget, if you will, give us a brief update on the animal shelter. They've submitted their numbers for the year, and I think it would be incumbent upon the court to hear what's going on with our animal shelter.
Well, the only thing I have is, I have Emily's report that she submitted, and it was really hard for them to do their job. They were ordered, they couldn't take surrenders because of the COVID, and they were on a lot of restrictions. But the report, the end of the year report, shows that the percents were from 19 to 2020 were significantly down. They had more transferred and reclaimed than they had to euthanize, which is always what they work for at the animal shelter. So those percents were higher on the reclaimed and transferred, and then some of the adoptions. But the euthanasia was, it was extremely lower for 2020. So they just do a really good job. Anybody that's ever had to call Emily for anything, they know she's really passionate about her job and she gets it done, as well as Darla at the animal shelter. So I just think they don't get enough recognition sometime as to what they do.
Thank you, Gidget. Anybody got anything they want to say? We'll just open up for anybody. Lisa, you got any comments? Gina, yes, ma'am.
For the record, you threw me a curveball earlier, but I want to make sure that the fiscal court understands that, under the franchise cable agreement, they were accepting 2 bids. We put out bids after the ordinance was passed. We gave them ample time to apply, and on Friday, we opened 2 sealed bids, one from Murray Electric, one from Charter. Those will be franchise agreements. There's no, application fee. They'll be, good for 7 years. So that's what you all voted on earlier, were 2 actual bids that we accepted, by state statute. The reason that Mediacom, which is the other charter cable provider in our, county, did not submit is because they already had an agreement with the county that runs through 2023. So there was no need for them to submit. So we now have agreements with all of our, telecommunication and cable providers for the entire county, which is a good thing. So we should have full coverage and service by all of those now.
One of the things I'm sure that members of the court are aware of, and the public should be in general, we are not allowed by state statute to collect any fees from either telecom or either one, the utilities or that, for use of our right-of-ways. And at times we have a situation that occurs that we're trying to address where a cable's been laid underground or something. We have a, I don't know if you call it a divot or a ditch or something, we've had to go back. The road department typically has to go back and try to repair those the best we can. So at some point in the future, as we work toward these agreements, that kind of thing needs to be considered. Anyone else? Jody, you're awful quiet over there. Okay. Yes, sir.
We have a couple of young people here this morning, and I know the young man and the young lady, I just met her this morning, but they're never been to a fiscal court meeting before, and it's just good to see young people that's interested in county government, state government, federal government. So I thought you might want to recognize.
And I saw you and wanted to recognize you. If y'all got anything you'd like to say? I mean, first appearance or anything? We do appreciate that. And Squire Hale said, I think as the younger generation comes on, I mean, some days some other people are going to be sitting in these chairs and out in the audience, and I truly appreciate your all's interest and involvement, and hopefully you've learned something and question any of us, any of these guys, anytime that we could. That's one thing we've tried to make this court is open and transparent, and let the public know what's going on. Hawkins paper has always done a good job of reporting those things. Chris, you got anything in the road department? I know Richard's out on job this morning.
Yeah, he's out on Mount Olive Church Road. We got a big bridge that's backed up with logs. They're working on that. But
getting ready to get ready, or we are ready to be getting ready. And as you know, we were fortunate, again, I mentioned, to get a nice discretionary fund application, and that's what Chris is working on now, is to get those roads ready, so as soon as season breaks and paving can start, then we'll be ready for them to do that. Also mentioned, Chris mentioned long arm. I think that's something that I've talked to a couple of you about. We're going to have to look at sometime this year or soon. The long arm and the great all both are getting some age on them. Repairs are beginning to mount up, and just not only the repair bills, but when we have to pull those out of service, and like great all carry, I think it's been to Evansville to get worked on. We have to drive it up there 3 times this last year. Those things we've got to look at and kind of plan a little bit. So we'll be talking more about those 2 items specifically. I think the other road equipment that we use, the mowers, well, we've had some trouble with the regular mowers. The idea, I talked to Richard the last couple of days, is if we could get at some point another long arm and then having one of the regular mowers follow behind it, you could make one pass down a road and pretty well have it and reclaim a lot of the land that we've lost on our right-of-ways and get up closer to fences and on steeper embankments. But we'll be discussing that further with the court and all that in the immediate future. And if y'all would grant me a point of personal privilege, I know that's something that you may not hear of, but a whole lot in a court setting, but in the legislature, if you were aggrieved by a matter, you took a point of personal privilege and the speaker or the presiding officer granted you the floor. So I'm going to grant myself just a brief few minutes, and I know we were trying to keep this short. I've got 2 calls on both phones set up as soon as we leave here to get on 2 Zoom calls. But I want the people of Callaway County to know that the last 2.5 years we have worked tirelessly, diligently with everything that we have been able to put together to try to get better internet service throughout the county. We've contacted every major carrier of internet. West Kentucky Electric and Murray Electric, to the extent that Murray Electric can, have been most cooperative in trying to get as many people. I think with the COVID, with especially, I have a real burning desire with our kids at school and the teachers to be able to communicate with their classes when the schools have been shut down. It's been a real problem. We've got 1/3 of this county that has very poor service at best, and several people, 1/3, I want to emphasize that number again, 1/3, 12,000 people in this county have totally inadequate internet service. Along with that, the school children and trying to teach and all that, you have the lack of economic development opportunities in a lot of regions of the county. That is considerable concern. If you're trying to create a home business or even a business on your property in a lot of the county, you're just not able to do it. The internet and the technology is just not here yet. I know we were told that Kentucky Wired was the answer to all of our dreams. That's been going on now for 7 or 8 years. I can't tell anything's changed with it. I'm sure it will be. They have a new program, what's the name of it, Gina? It's supposed to back that up, but again, it's just dropping off a module here on the Court Square and one out Murray State, which are both adequately served. But again, I don't, in working with West Kentucky Telephone in particular, and they are the only internet provider in the county that has shown any interest whatsoever in trying to come up with something. But I sadly report to you this morning that it's just impractical, unfeasible, and unaffordable for us to go much further as far as county government. We've tried to work a grant deal out. The grant didn't go through, and we've tried a countermeasure, but the price tag on it is just enormous for the current financial position of the county. To that end, I guess I'm going out on a limb here, but I will say that AT&T as a corporation has done the people of Callaway County a tremendous disservice. I am so deeply disappointed in them. As a legislator 8 years ago now, I worked with them and did a deal where if they didn't have to run the line out 40 miles for a landline, that if we quit making them do that, then they in turn would come in and develop more internet service and provisions for the county. To the extent I see no effort in the last 7 years to do that. They did build a tower out here to do their new 5G thing. If you got service at the AT&T station, used to, if you got a new phone, it'd take you maybe an hour for them to switch the information over. I had one person report to me that it took them 3.5 hours because AT&T had switched over to that 5G tower, and it just moved much slower. And I want to remind you, given what we went through with the explosion in Nashville about, I guess it's a month ago now, close to it, how it affected our service here as far as 911 in particular, which is something that we've made great strides to take a lot of pride in, how it affected that. AT&T is one of the few companies that are in that kind of business that provides no redundancy whatsoever in a lot of their lines. And I will point out that reading the financial report of AT&T, I think it was 2017 or 18, they had $18.9 billion of net profits. And I'm one of the biggest capitalists in the world, but when you're holding that kind of money back to give it to shareholders and people out here, kids can't get their lessons at school, or they have to drive to the hotspot. And again, I want to commend West Kentucky Telephone. They set up, I think it was 6 different hotspots in the county. The kids have to leave their home, or if they're underage, the parent has to carry them over to one of the facilities out in the county. But I just want to tell the people of Callaway County in particular that I am truly disappointed that we have not been able to achieve more and to get bona fide good service. Another thing with telemed coming online, and Jerry Penner told me a couple of months ago that they were expecting this year, 2021, that 30% of the hospital patients would be served by telemed. Well, that's all well and good if you've got access to the internet and can talk with your doctor, but again, 1/3 of our county's people can't do that. We're talking about 4,000 homes on various county and state roads, and I get it. I mean, these companies, AT&T, the different providers have basically cherry-picked. They're going to go in. I get the methodology. You go into the concentrated area where you can lay the most lines and provide the service with the least amount of cost. But they have cherry-picked us. They've, of course, are going to the metropolitan areas of Louisville, Lexington, northern Kentucky, where there's, 1/3 of the state's population confined in relatively small areas. It does cost less to provide that service. But I just wanted to report to you, as a point of personal privilege, how truly disappointed I am in the people that provide internet in this country, not just in Callaway County, but in this country. How, quite frankly, what a sorry job they've done. So with that, is there any other comments to be made? And I apologize for taking the court's time in doing that, but it's been on my heart and chest, and Gina and I worked last week up to trying to come up with a practical, reasonable solution, and we're just not there, and I see no immediate help or future short of some kind of federal grant. I know the governor has proposed in his budget $50 million. I don't know what that $50 million is for. It's probably has to do with Kentucky Wired, more of that kind of stuff. I will reiterate the redundancy, the lack of redundancy. If the line goes down here, there's no way to backfeed into that. So you saw what happened in Nashville, and it affected everything throughout the country. But I appreciate your indulgence with this. Any other word? If not, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Judge,
Yes, sir.
I'm totally in agreement with you, and I know everyone in this room is. And so, with that, you think about the internet, and like you said, it's kind of like, I don't remember not having electricity, but I've heard some of my ancestors talk about it. And internet today, with the technology the way it is, it's kind of like getting electricity back in whatever 30s, 40s, whatever it was. But totally agree with you. AT&T really doing us a disservice, especially in rural areas, as you said. And then too, think about all the people that lost loved ones this past year with the COVID. And I know Timmy Manning just passed. Of course, he was, I'm pretty sure he was a member of the fire rescue. And not only that family, but all the families that lost loved ones this past year with that terrible disease.
Squire, like you said, you know, I grew up, part of our community didn't have electricity, certainly didn't have sewer systems. Most of our county still doesn't. But I heard a guy speak at, when we were talking about the internet. He said he could, if he had to, of course you can buy a generator now, you can get your electricity, you can get running water, or you can get water, you can get natural gas. If you can't get, I mean, you can get propane or natural gas, some other supplemental, but you cannot get the internet. We can't do that ourselves. So I think that, and I agree with you that if there's anything needed in this country the way the country is now and the way we operate, that's certainly something maybe at some point in the future we'll be able to proceed with that. We're not saying we're off of it, but I'm just trying to give you a practical update where we are today. And with that, in mentioning Tim Manning, I would move to adjourn in his honor. Tim is also a county constable and has done a great service. I think he has served since when, Tanya, did you tell me? 2003, so 17 years as a county constable, and I just want to recognize his service to the county as well as several others in just, you know, in this relatively short period of time, just in the last month of leaders and people that have, whether it was COVID or a dear friend of mine lost his life just the day before yesterday in an automobile accident. And we need to remember them, their families and all that, but I would move to adjourn this meeting in honor and memory of Tim Manning. We have lowered the county flags to half-staff in his honor. So, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
I feel like I hadn't seen it. Good months. But I have a little rough.